In the heart of a sprawling, unforgiving city, a deadly game of survival is about to unfold. A ruthless criminal syndicate has set their sights on a little girl, just another target in a dangerous world where the powerful prey on the vulnerable. But they couldn't be more wrong. This girl carries a secret, a tattoo that marks her as someone far beyond ordinary. Her protector, Leon, is no stranger to danger. A former intelligence operative with years of experience in the darkest corners of covert operations, he spent a lifetime mastering tactical evasion, protection, and strategic warfare. Together, they face a relentless hunt through a city riddled with mercenaries, shadowy informants, and ruthless killers, each step drawing them deeper into a deadly web of betrayal and violence. This isn't just a story of escape. It's a calculated battle of minds and muscle where every move counts, and failure means death. This is the story of how a skilled guardian and a brave girl outsmarted an empire built on fear, turning a desperate fight into a masterclass of survival and tactical genius. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories reach. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss tomorrow's special video. I guarantee you won't want to miss it. Now let's jump in. In the fractured outskirts of a lawless city, territory lines were drawn not by law but by power. Gangs ruled the streets. Corrupt officials turned blind eyes. And somewhere in the middle, a little girl named Ava stumbled into the wrong part of town, unaware that her mere presence would ignite a deadly chain reaction. She was small, alone, no older than 8. Her backpack was ragged, her shoes barely held together. Outlaws from the Vulture's syndicate, a mid-tier gang known for their brutality, surrounded her near a boarded-up storefront. They laughed, taunted, and circled her like jackals testing a lone cub. One of them grabbed her by the arm. "What's a little thing like you doing out here? You lost, sweetheart." Ava said nothing. She kept her eyes down, quiet, waiting. Another outlaw, taller, meaner, leaned in. "You carrying something? Maybe your folks owe us." As the gang tightened around her, Ava slowly slipped off her jacket, revealing a tattoo on her forearm. It wasn't large, but the moment their eyes landed on it, their laughter died instantly. A simple mark, a coiled serpent wrapped around a 7-pointed star. Recognition hit them like a bullet. The symbol belonged to the Black Sun Collective, one of the most dangerous, untouchable syndicates known in the underworld. No one crossed the Black Sun. No one even spoke their name without hesitation. The outlaws stumbled backward, eyes wide with fear. The tallest one's throat went dry. Who are you?" Ava finally looked up, her voice calm, almost too steady for a child. "I'm protected. You can't touch me." But that wasn't the full story. Miles away, in a shadowed operations center, Leon Hart reviewed Ava's file. Former Special Forces, former private security, now operating independently, specializing in extractions and close protection under impossible odds. Ava wasn't just some gang's pawn. She was a protected witness tied to a deep-seated corruption case that could topple criminal empires and implicate powerful corporations and government officials. She wasn't just a girl with a tattoo. She was leverage, the kind people would kill for. And Leon was her protector. His voice cut through the comms to his contact. "What's her current position?" "South Sector. She just triggered a local gang's flight response. Vultures are scattering. Not good enough. Black Sun will move now." Ava's on the clock. He packed his gear with practiced speed. Glock 19, suppressed SMG, compact comms kit, burner phones. This wasn't a retrieval. This was a race. Leon's mission was clear. Get Ava out, keep her alive, and outmaneuver the syndicates converging to silence her. The storm was coming. Leon maneuvered his motorcycle through the chaotic grid of the South Sector, weaving between rusted-out cars and market stalls that thinned as the streets grew more dangerous. His comm buzzed as he approached Ava's last known location. "Eagle Watch, confirm visual on Ava," he said, voice steady. "Negative," came the response. She slipped local surveillance. Her last ping puts her heading east on foot. Syndicate chatter's exploding. Black Sun operatives are moving in fast. Leon processed the layers quickly. Black Sun wasn't sending thugs. They would deploy contractors, ex-military, fully equipped, no patience for mistakes. Ava was already exposed. She'd need extraction now. Leon cut his engine and approached on foot. The streets here whispered danger. Locals turned away. Shopkeepers pulled their shutters down. Fear radiated from the cracked concrete and graffiti-tagged walls. It took him less than 2 minutes to find her. Ava sat on a curb near an abandoned pharmacy, legs tucked in, hands clenching the strap of her frayed backpack. She looked up as Leon approached, her expression calm, eyes far too aware for her age. "Leon Hart?" she asked, as if she'd been expecting him. "You're not easy to track," he said, kneeling to her level. "But you did well showing the tattoo. Smart move. Kept the vultures off you, for now." She tilted her head, voice steady. "You're the one they said could keep me alive." Leon almost smiled. "Almost. Yeah, I'm that guy." Suddenly, his calm crackled. Multiple heat signatures. Fast approach. SUVs. Black sun cells closing in. Leon's hand was already on his sidearm. "How many?" "At least 2 teams. Rooftops and street level. Standard pincer." Leon scanned the street. Only one viable exit. The rest were bottlenecks, designed for ambush. He lifted Ava in one motion and started moving. "Listen carefully. I need you to follow every word I say without hesitation." "I can do that." "Good. First rule, stay close. Second rule, if I stop, you stop. If I run, you run faster." Ava nodded, gripping his jacket tight. They sprinted through narrow alleys as SUVs roared onto the street behind them. Gunmen deployed, tactically sweeping the storefronts, their movements disciplined and fast. Leon improvised. He fired a quick burst at a nearby transformer, blowing out power to the block and plunging the street into shadow. In that brief moment of confusion, they cut through an underground service tunnel. Eagle Watch's voice came through. "Temporary disruption bought you time, but Black Sun's bringing in aerial drones. You need to move. Now." Leon's mind raced, already plotting the next 3 escape vectors, potential safe houses, and fallback contingencies. He glanced at Ava, who hadn't panicked, who matched his pace without question. "She's not just smart," Leon muttered into the calm, "she's trained for this." And that changed everything. Leon's boots pounded the cracked cement of the underground service tunnel, the flicker of his tactical light slicing through the dark. Ava stayed glued to his side, her breathing steady, her small frame moving with practiced efficiency. "Status." Leon barked into his calm. "Black Sun has mobilized secondary units. They're locking down choke points 3 blocks out. Drone surveillance just went airborne." Leon's jaw tightened. "Time to collapse this route. Prepare remote detonation on tunnel exit 1. Armed and ready. Detonation on your signal." He guided Ava through the twists of the tunnel, marking escape routes in his mind. He knew this city's underbelly, knew which passages connected, which exits were dead ends, and which ones could be turned into tactical kill zones. They reached a vertical shaft ladder that would put them 2 streets behind the Black Sun's main sweep. "Up," Leon ordered. Ava didn't hesitate. As she climbed, he pulled a small charge from his belt and planted it near the tunnel's mouth. "Firehole, give me eyes on drone flight paths. I need a 2-minute window." Firehole, the recon specialist on Eagle Watch's team, replied instantly. "There's a gap forming. Northeast corridor, rooftops. If you move fast, you can clear it." Leon grunted in approval, following Ava up the ladder as his comm buzzed again. "Enemy team entering the tunnel. You've got 30 seconds." They surfaced into a narrow alley. Leon hoisted Ava over a chain-link fence just as gunfire rattled from behind them. "Detonate," Leon commanded. The explosion collapsed the tunnel's entrance, sealing the pursuit temporarily and sending a cloud of dust into the tight street. But he wasn't banking on time. He was banking on misdirection. He guided Ava onto a city tram, blending with a sea of commuters as the tram pulled away. His comm pinged again. "Enemy units adjusting search grid. You bought 2, maybe 3 minutes max." Leon scanned the tram's passengers, calculating. 2 plainclothes spotters stood at the rear, 2 clean to be locals, 2 alert to be bystanders. He whispered to Ava, "Switch seats on my signal." Without breaking stride, he stepped toward the first spotter, his movement disguised in the crowd. With clinical precision, he slipped a stun rod from his sleeve and jabbed it into the man's side, dropping him instantly. Ava switched seats flawlessly, relocating to the opposite end of the tram as Leon neutralized the second spotter with a sharp elbow strike and a disarmed sidearm jammed into the man's ribs. The tram pulled into the next station. Leon and Ava disembarked smoothly, vanishing into the mass of passengers as Black Sun's quick-response vehicles missed them by seconds. Leon keyed into the comm. They're overcommitting resources. They didn't expect urban bleed tactics. They're adjusting, Firehole warned. Command just picked up chatter. They flagged Ava as a level 1 asset, meaning kill on sight. Leon's mind stayed sharp. Safe houses were compromised. Standard extraction routes were off the table. He'd have to improvise. Urban evasion, contact local assets, build blind zones. His mission wasn't just to protect Ava now. It was to vanish. Completely. Leon led Ava through a twisting maze of pedestrian tunnels and maintenance corridors, cutting through the city's underbelly with purpose. He knew these routes, places forgotten by the planners, routes where surveillance drones couldn't see, and ground teams wouldn't think to look immediately. His voice stayed calm, tactical. We're going to ghost this sector. You'll hear shots, maybe see more men with guns. You don't stop unless I stop. You don't run unless I run. Got it. Ava nodded, keeping pace. Her grip firm on the backpack she refused to let go. Eagle Watch chimed in. They've expanded the search grid. Satellite uplink shows Black Sun operatives setting up checkpoints at all vehicle exits. Facial recognition cameras across the district just went active. Leon's tone remained cold and controlled. We're not using vehicles. He guided Ava into a cargo lift leading to the old rail freight tunnels. Miles of rusted track and collapsed infrastructure. The perfect blind spot in the middle of the city. As the lift descended, Ava finally asked, "Why do they want me?" Leon weighed his answer. "Because you carry something they fear. Proof. Names. Routes. Everything they need to keep buried." Her small voice carried a weight far beyond her age. "I didn't ask for this. None of us do." When the lift doors opened, Leon swept the corridor, weapon drawn. The tunnel was cold, damp, forgotten. His comm buzzed. "Leon, you're going to like this. Firehole found an old smuggler's route. Connects through an abandoned metro substation. Could get you clear of the primary grid. Send me the coordinates." Firehole's tone shifted. "But there's a problem. Black Sun just activated local gangs. They're buying eyes on the street. We've got moles everywhere. You're not just facing hired guns anymore. You're facing the city." Leon's voice didn't waver. "Then I'll disappear inside it." They pushed through the rail tunnels, passing collapsed beams and gutted train cars. Leon's mind constantly mapped escape points, fallback positions, bottlenecks he could weaponize if pressed. His comm buzzed again. "Drone patrols just swept your sector. You're clear for 90 seconds. Leon moved fast, lifting Ava into an old ventilation shaft. "Why are you helping me?" she asked as they crawled through the tight passage. Leon gave a faint smirk. "Because I've seen what happens to people like you when no one does." The shaft spit them out into a long-abandoned metro platform. Leon paused, scanning. Firehole crackled in. "Heads up. They've just activated bounty trackers. You're priority 1 now. High-value target. They're going to throw everything at you." Leon reloaded, quickly swapping out his magazine. "Good. Let them." His mind was already 2 steps ahead. He'd find the blind spots, build improvised choke points, push them to overcommit. And if they got too close, he'd leave a message Black Sun wouldn't forget. Leon moved swiftly through the derelict metro station, guiding Ava across crumbling platforms and rusted turnstiles. The stale air smelled of dust and wet concrete. Long-forgotten maintenance tunnels branched off in every direction, a perfect place to lose a tail or set a trap. His comm buzzed again. "Leon, Black Sun's pulled in a kill team, Raptor Squad. These aren't street thugs. Ex-military, fully kit. Thermal gear, drone support. They'll expect you to use underground routes." Leon's voice was low and precise. "They can expect all they want. I'll still bleed them." He scanned the area and quickly formed a tactical map in his head. Narrow corridors, exposed catwalks, pressure valves, and structural weak points. If he moved right, he could turn the entire station into a layered ambush. He turned to Ava. "We're setting a playground. Stay close and pay attention." Ava's eyes flickered with understanding. She wasn't afraid. She was reading him, adjusting to the tactical flow. Whoever trained her didn't just teach survival. They taught her how to move with an operator. Leon rigged a broken maintenance pipe to vent high-pressure steam at the flick of a valve. He set a shock wire across a narrow access tunnel and jerry-rigged a timed detonation using an old chemical battery and scrap wiring from a busted tram console. His comm buzzed again. Firehole here. Visuals confirm Raptor squad moving in. Three-man wedge formation on your 6. Secondary drone support inbound. Leon smirked dryly. Perfect. As the squad breached the metro platform, Leon triggered the first charge. A concussive blast collapsed a stairwell behind them, forcing them to commit forward into his chosen route. Steam flooded their thermal sights. Panic briefly fractured their formation. Leon used the fog to isolate the lead operative, eliminating him with a suppressed shot to the chest. His movements were sharp, clinical. He repositioned quickly, pulling Ava behind a stack of debris as he detonated the chemical charge, forcing the remaining operatives into a side corridor. They're funneling, Firehole confirmed in his ear. You've got one shot to clear them. Leon nodded, dropping his last tripwire across the narrow gap and drawing their fire with a quick burst. The second operator tripped the wire, triggering a close proximity blast that sent him flying. The third realized too late. Leon was already in his blind spot. One clean shot ended the fight. Leon exhaled slowly, scanning for secondary threats. Ava peeked out from behind the debris pile, her eyes wide but steady. You okay? He asked, quickly reloading. She nodded. They're not as good as you. Leon allowed himself the faintest smirk. No, they're not. His comm crackled again. Leon, you've just made this personal. Black Sun's prioritizing you now, not just Ava. They've deployed a local fixer. Codename, Vex. Leon's smile faded. Vex was known for one thing, turning cities into traps. Leon's mind shifted gears instantly. They needed to keep moving. Black Sun wasn't going to stop, and Vex would set the entire urban landscape against them. Leon moved quickly through the service corridors, Ava keeping tight to his side. His mind worked fast. Vex was a tactical problem unlike the others. He wouldn't just send squads. He would twist the city itself, weaponizing street gangs, bribing locals, using facial recognition systems, manipulating traffic flow, and hijacking public services to herd Leon and Ava into a kill box. Eagle Watch's voice crackled over the comm. Leon, we've confirmed Vex's arrival. He's using municipal drones. He's paying off street-level gangs to act as local spotters. Facial ID nets tightening. Leon's reply was crisp. Copy. He'll overplay his hand. He guided Ava toward a drainage tunnel access point, a route that would temporarily buy them some breathing room. Leon knew Vex methods. They wouldn't survive by simply running. They had to make themselves disappear from the digital grid. Ava, new rule, Leon said as they moved. We're burning IDs. From here on, we ghost everything. Phones, cameras, even our footprints. Ava's eyes lit up with tactical clarity. Do I get to help? Leon allowed a rare half-smile. Yeah, you're going to help me break the city. They reached a derelict comms hub, one of Leon's old burned sites. It was quiet, unmonitored, off-grid, laced with old escape routes. Leon quickly dismantled Ava's ID tag from her backpack and crushed it under his boot. He took out a burner phone, snapped it in half, and dumped both pieces into a chemical solution. Firehole, I need a hard blackout, Leon ordered. Shut down 2 adjacent power grids. Force reroutes. I want intersections jammed, cameras offline, traffic signals dead. You got it. Going dark in 60. Leon grabbed an old transit worker's uniform from a hidden cache and tossed the jacket to Ava. Put this on. New profile. New pattern. We move now. The power died 2 minutes later, and the city staggered. Intersections gridlocked. Drones flickered and lost signal. Surveillance nodes scrambled to reboot. Leon used the window. He moved Ava across alleys, through disconnected metro lines, slipping between surveillance blind spots, while Vex operators struggled to adapt to the sudden data blackout. But Vex didn't panic. He adapted faster than expected. Street cameras rebooted on backup power. Civilian traffic rerouted suspiciously close to known Black Sun checkpoints. Vex was manipulating the city's emergency failsafes. Eagle Watch came back online. Vex isn't just buying street eyes. He's inside the city's infrastructure. Transit control, emergency services, drone regulation, all compromised. Leon's voice was ice cold. I know. I need to break his rhythm. He led Ava into a decaying underground parking structure, a maze of half-collapsed ramps and abandoned vehicles. He started rigging a diversion, old propane tanks, loose wiring, a chemical accelerator. You're going to make an explosion? Ava asked, crouched beside him. Leon's voice was steady. I'm going to make him think I made a mistake. The trap would convince Vex teams they'd cornered Leon. But when they closed in, they'd walk straight into a controlled detonation that would force a tactical reset across the entire grid. Leon finished arming the device, guiding Ava toward the northern exit. You're not just surviving this, kid, Leon muttered as they slipped away. You're going to walk out clean. His comm buzzed with Firehole's confirmation. They're biting. You've got incoming. Leon's plan was in motion. Now he just needed to outthink Vex, move faster, hit harder, and vanish before the city itself could trap him. The explosion tore through the underground parking garage with calculated precision. Flames licked concrete pillars, and thick smoke poured into the cavernous space. Leon and Ava had already vanished into the maze of back alleys that twisted like veins beneath the city's streets. Here, surveillance cameras struggled to track movement. The urban clutter worked in their favor. Good reaction time on that detonation. Firehole's voice crackled in Leon's earpiece. Vex teams are disoriented but already regrouping fast. They're tightening the net around your six. Leon glanced back over his shoulder. His eyes narrowed, sharp as a hawk's. They're baiting us into choke points. Classic Vex. Predictable, but effective if we let them. Ava, catching her breath despite the adrenaline, asked quietly, "What's a choke point?" Leon allowed a brief smile, despite the tension. A choke point is a spot where your options narrow, like a funnel. If the enemy controls it, they control you. You can't run, and it becomes easier for them to trap or ambush you. He scanned the urban landscape ahead, the city a sprawling tangle of tight alleyways, crowded streets, and shadowy nooks. Their options were shrinking fast. His comm buzzed again. Rogue patrols converging on your location. You've got about 2 minutes before they seal the perimeter. Leon's mind raced. The safe house options were thinning rapidly. Black Sun's operatives knew the city's underbelly better than anyone. The only viable escape route was through the market district, a chaotic, cacophonous tangle of narrow streets packed with vendors, pedestrians, and endless distractions. It was the perfect place to disappear into a crowd, but also the perfect place for an ambush. Keep your head down and your senses sharp, Leon instructed as they slipped into the throng. Ava's small size was an advantage here, easy to disappear in the shuffle of bodies. But just as relief began to settle, 2 groups of men stepped out of shadowed doorways and alleyways, blocking their path. Black Sun affiliates, dressed in plain clothes but clearly armed, flanked them. Concealed pistols peeked from jacket pockets, eyes cold and calculating. Leon stopped abruptly, signaling Ava to freeze. They were boxed in, no room to maneuver. He whispered, "Follow my lead. Watch the tattoo." Ava's forearm tattoo, the coiled serpent wrapped around a 7-pointed star, was a symbol not just of protection, but of formidable power. It was a silent message of affiliation with the Black Sun Collective, the city's most feared syndicate. One of the gang members stepped forward, eyes narrowing as recognition flickered across his face. The others exchanged wary glances. Leon stepped forward calmly, voice low but firm. "This girl's not your target. You want to live long enough to see another day, back off." For tense seconds, the standoff held. Then, the gang melted into the crowd, unwilling to test the protection the tattoo implied. Leon exhaled slowly, tension easing. That tattoo saves lives. But don't count on it forever. Ava nodded, her expression steady despite the narrow escape. Their path was clear, for now. But Leon knew this reprieve was fragile and temporary. The city was a chessboard with shifting pieces, and they were still very much the hunted. He keyed his comm, Eagle Watch, status update. "Vex is escalating," Firehole replied. "They've deployed snipers on rooftops ahead, and a rapid response unit is closing fast." Leon scanned the rooftops, eyes darting between fire escapes, satellite dishes, and broken water towers. "We move fast now. Keep your eyes sharp," Leon ordered. "This isn't over." They vanished into the market's chaos, 2 shadows among thousands, running a deadly game of cat and mouse. The chase was far from finished. Leon's eyes locked onto the rooftops surrounding the market district. Their new hunters perched like crows on broken vents and rusted satellite dishes. The snipers' positions were deliberate, calculated to cover the narrow streets and block any chance of escape on foot. Rooftop teams are locked in. Firehole warned over the comms. They're calling in reinforcements. Expect armored vehicles in 10. Leon's mind went to work instantly. The market below was a labyrinth, but exposed to lethal sniper fire. Staying on the streets meant slow death. Options? Leon asked. Access to adjacent rooftops is possible via fire escapes and maintenance ladders, but they're monitored. Understood. We're going vertical. Leon guided Ava toward a rusted fire escape clinging to the side of a crumbling building. Her hand brushed the cold metal as she climbed steadily, her tattoo a reminder of the invisible protection she carried. Stay low, don't make noise, Leon instructed. If we get spotted here, it's over. They reached the rooftop and moved quickly, ducking behind air conditioning units and chimneys. The wind was sharp, carrying the distant hum of sirens and the chaotic clamor of the market below. Leon scanned for drones, mechanical vultures circling overhead. Drones sweep clear, for now, but they're adapting fast. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed. A sniper's bullet zipped past, splintering concrete inches from Leon's head. Contact front, he barked, pulling Ava down behind a ventilation shaft. Snipers repositioning. We're pinned, Firehole reported. Leon's tactical mind raced. Staying still was a death sentence, but moving risked exposure. Listen carefully, Leon whispered to Ava. We're going to create a distraction. When I say go, you sprint to the next fire escape on the east side. I'll cover you. Ava's face was set, no fear visible. Got it. Leon pulled out a flashbang grenade, primed it, and lobbed it toward the sniper's probable location. The blast detonated with a piercing bang and blinding light. Sniper fire ceased, momentarily blinded and disoriented. Go, Leon shouted. Ava dashed, sliding down the rusted ladder, disappearing from sight. Leon moved with practiced efficiency, firing suppressive bursts toward enemy positions, forcing them into cover. He reached the next fire escape, taking it down swiftly, then moved to intercept Ava further along the rooftop chain. As they regrouped on a rooftop garden, Ava's hand instinctively reached for Leon's arm. You're calm. How do you do it? She asked. Leon's eyes never stopped scanning. Calm comes from preparation. Fear's just a tool. Use it right, and it keeps you sharp. Suddenly, a drone appeared overhead, sleek, black, sensors locking on. Leon snapped his SMG out of its sling. Looks like they're bringing the big guns. They melted into the rooftop's shadows, disappearing into a warren of pipes and vents. The fight was far from over. Leon and Ava were learning fast. Every move had to be calculated, every breath measured. In this deadly rooftop chess game, one wrong step could be the last. Leon and Ava slipped silently through a narrow alley, the rooftop battle behind them replaced by the muted sounds of late-night city life, distant sirens, the hum of a lone generator, the occasional bark of a stray dog. The contrast was deceptive. In the shadows, the threat was far from over. Safe house is 2 blocks east, Leon murmured, voice steady but tense. It's an old contact's place. Not a fortress, but discreet and fortified enough for a short hold. We need to move fast. Ava kept pace effortlessly, her small frame surprisingly resilient. Do they know we're coming? Leon shook his head. Not yet. But Vex's reach is long, and his network runs deep. I won't be surprised if we've already got tails. The city's uneven cobblestones echoed beneath their boots as they rounded the corner, and the safe house came into view. The building looked unremarkable, faded brick, barred windows, and a heavy steel door. No one would give it a second glance. Leon retrieved a slim key card from a hidden pocket and slid it into the reader beside the door. A soft beep, then the lock clicked open. Inside, the air was stale but calm, an artificial sanctuary amid the chaos. Leon immediately moved to inspect the perimeter. He activated internal alarms, checked every window, and barricaded potential entry points. This place isn't a fortress, he said quietly, but it's our best shot for now. Ava sank onto a worn leather couch, exhaustion creeping through her usually composed demeanor. She flexed her fingers, revealing the faint but unmistakable tattoo, the serpent coiled around the 7-pointed star, a silent mark that had already saved her once and would save her again. Leon moved to a small side table and pulled out a tactical map spread across the surface, illuminated by the flickering light of a desk lamp. He traced several routes, marking choke points, escape paths, and fallback zones. "We have time to plan," he said, eyes sharp. "But not much. Vex won't rest. Expect probes, traps, maybe even a breach attempt." Suddenly, the overhead lights flickered, dimming momentarily before returning. Leon's gaze snapped to the breaker panel across the room. He strode over quickly and yanked it open. "Not good," he muttered. His fingers flew over the circuits, checking for tampering. His comm crackled urgently. "Leon, Vex has compromised local utilities. Power grids are being manipulated. He's prepping a shutdown to flush you out." Leon's jaw clenched. "We're not going down without a fight." He moved swiftly to switch to emergency backup power, activating hidden battery banks and rerouting critical systems to isolated circuits. Ava stood, brushing dust from her knees. "What now?" Leon turned, his expression firm but reassuring. "We hold. We defend. And if they come through that door, we make them pay." The weight of the moment settled between them. This safe house was more than just a shelter. It was a battleground, a chessboard where every move would count. Leon set a small array of improvised sensors around the entrances, motion detectors jury-rigged from scavenged electronics, silent alarms connected to their backup comms. "Local law enforcement isn't coming," he said, voice grim. "Vex owns them. The city's turned hostile. It's us against the whole network now." Ava met his gaze, unwavering. "I'm ready." Leon allowed himself a brief nod of approval. "Good, because this fight's only just begun." Outside, the city pulsed with quiet menace. But inside the safe house, two unlikely allies steeled themselves for the storm ahead. Their bond, forged in fire and shadow, would be tested, and only one thing was certain: failure was not an option. The night outside the safe house was dense with an almost suffocating tension. The quiet was deceptive. Every sound felt magnified in the stillness. Leon crouched near the reinforced front door, his silhouette nearly blending into the shadows cast by the flickering hallway light. His senses were razor-sharp, muscles coiled like springs ready to snap. "Black Sun Assault Team is on the move." Firehole's voice buzzed urgently in Leon's earpiece. 2 squads inbound. They're fast movers, suppressed weapons, flashbangs, the full tactical kit. ETA, 3 minutes. Leon's gaze locked on the door, the seconds ticking away with surgical precision. He slowly chambered a round in his rifle. "Brace for impact," he whispered under his breath. Ava stood directly behind him, her face calm but resolute, betraying none of the exhaustion she must have felt. Leon admired the quiet steel beneath her youth. She was more than just a girl running from danger. She was a fighter in her own right. Suddenly, the first heavy thud struck the door, followed by rapid-fire kicking and shouted commands. "Open up. Black Sun. You're surrounded," barked a voice on the other side, harsh and uncompromising. Leon's hands tightened on the weapon's grip. Not a chance. The reinforced steel door groaned, but held firm against the assault. The pounding was relentless, but the structure was built to withstand far worse. Leon leaned close to Ava and whispered, "Ready your sidearm. If they breach, you hold the hallway. I'll cover the front." They moved with practiced coordination, breath steady, steps measured. This was no first encounter. They operated like a well-oiled machine. Then a sudden explosion of sound and light rocked the perimeter. A flashbang detonated just outside, sending a deafening wave through the safe house walls. Leon dove to the floor, ears ringing. Through the ringing, he saw a brief gap in the door's observation slot and squeezed off a precise shot, taking down one assailant before the slot slammed shut again. "More on the way," Ava warned, already moving to barricade and cover the hallway entrance. Leon triggered an improvised smoke device. Thick, choking white fog poured into the corridor, obscuring the attackers' vision and forcing them to slow. The smoke was his ally, a chance to level the playing field. The enemy team hesitated, forced into close quarters, where Leon's traps were waiting. Tripwires connected to small but potent alarms sent encrypted signals to Eagle Watch, calling for immediate backup. In the confusion, Leon caught fleeting shadows, figures pushing forward aggressively but unsure, their momentum broken by the defense's precision and patience. Minutes dragged, every heartbeat a countdown. Then silence fell, uneasy, heavy. The pounding ceased, voices faded into the night. Firehole's voice returned, steady but cautious. Assault teams pulled back. They're regrouping for another push. Leon allowed himself a slow breath. For now. Ava looked up at him, eyes bright with relief but alert. We made it through, she said. Leon's nod was grim. This was just the beginning. Vex and Black Sun would escalate their efforts, but they'd met the first wave and survived. Now, they'd prepare for what came next, because this fight wasn't over, not by a long shot. The fragile calm following the first assault was nothing more than a brief pause in the storm. Leon and Ava barely had a moment to catch their breath before a new threat surfaced, not from the enemy's guns, but from within the fragile walls of their sanctuary. Leon's comm buzzed sharply, breaking the silence. Eagle Watch, status report. The voice on the other end was grim. Leon, we've got a serious breach. One of your local allies, codenamed Falcon, just compromised your safe house location. Black Sun's been tipped off and reinforcements are already mobilizing. ETA, 5 minutes. Leon's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing. Falcon's a rat. We're compromised. Ava's gaze hardened. Can we trust anyone anymore? Leon shook his head slowly, the weight of betrayal settling over him. Not in this city. Not when the lines between friend and foe blur so easily. The network is bleeding, and Vex's grip runs deeper than we thought. Time was running out. Leon moved swiftly to prepare for another siege, barricading doors, resetting traps, and securing all communication channels. Every inch of the safe house was fortified again, but the psychological impact of the betrayal was far heavier than the physical danger. Firehole's voice crackled through the calm, revealing more grim news. Falcon isn't just feeding location intel. He's funneling real-time tactical updates directly to Vex. They knew exactly when and how to strike, down to the specifics of your defense setup. Leon's mind raced as he pieced together the consequences. The trust they placed in Falcon had been weaponized against them. This was no longer just a battle against Black Sun's mercenaries. This was a war against shadows lurking within their own ranks. Suddenly, the security monitor flickered to life, displaying the face of Falcon, Leon's once trusted local contact, approaching the safe house with a squad of armed operatives. The betrayal was raw and bitter. Leon's voice hardened, edged with grim resolve. We burn this place to the ground. Ava, we move now. Communications go dark. Ava met his eyes, calm and unwavering despite the chaos around them. Where to? Leon pulled out the tactical map, tracing a path to Extraction Point Charlie. A risky rendezvous far outside the city's grid, but their only viable escape route. He keyed his calm. Firehole, prep extraction. It's going to be tight. As the walls closed in, the sanctuary turned into a cage. Trust shattered, options narrowing. The fight for survival became more desperate than ever. Leon glanced at Ava, determination burning in his eyes. Stay close. No mistakes. We make it through this together. The city outside was relentless, but so were they. The chase was far from over. Leon and Ava slipped out through a concealed back exit, just as the first shots shattered the quiet inside the safe house. The acrid smell of smoke and burning electronics hung heavy behind them. A fiery tomb left for Black Sun to find, but no longer their home. The narrow alleyways twisted unpredictably beneath the cold night sky. Leon's footsteps were light but deliberate, guiding Ava through the maze with the precision of a seasoned operator. Every shadow could hide a threat, every distant noise a potential trap. Extraction Point Charlie is 2 clicks north, Leon whispered, eyes scanning the rooftops for movement. We'll have to avoid main streets. Too many eyes and too many cameras. Ava's breath was steady, but her grip on the jacket Leon had given her tightened with every step. The tattoo on her forearm seemed to glow faintly under the streetlights, a silent signal to those who understood. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed behind them. Tires screeched as Black Sun's pursuit vehicles tore into the alley entrances ahead, blocking their path. Leon's comm buzzed urgently. Vex has cut off your exit routes. Extraction compromised. Leon's jaw clenched, but his mind raced. Plan B. He led Ava toward a decrepit subway entrance. Its metal doors rusted shut, but the emergency exit hatch slightly ajar. They slipped inside, descending into the darkness where the city's underbelly twisted in cold steel and echoing silence. The subways were a labyrinth, the perfect hiding place for those desperate enough to disappear. But Vex's network extended there too. Thermal sensors, patrols, and traps waited in the tunnels. Leon motioned for silence and pulled Ava close. "Stay sharp. We're not out yet." They moved cautiously, navigating service tunnels, bypassing security locks with practiced ease. Each corner held a new danger, but Leon's experience kept them one step ahead. Suddenly, faint footsteps echoed behind them. Leon spun, weapon raised, but the figure that emerged was a local fixer, an old contact, known only as Ghost. His eyes were cautious but familiar. "Leon," Ghost whispered. "Vex men are closing in fast. I have a way out, but it's risky." Leon considered the man carefully. Trust was scarce, but options were fewer. "Lead the way," Leon said, voice low and steady. As they plunged deeper into the tunnels, Leon knew one thing for certain. Survival wasn't just about firepower or speed. It was about trust, timing, and staying ahead in a deadly game where the city itself was the enemy. Leon's grip tightened around his weapon as they moved through the labyrinthine tunnels beneath the city. The stale, damp air clung heavy to their skin, and every sound, the drip of water, the distant hum of machinery, echoed ominously off cold concrete walls. The only illumination came from Leon's tactical flashlight, slicing through the darkness with a sharp beam. "Vex's reach goes deeper than we thought," Ghost whispered, his voice low but urgent. His eyes flicked nervously to the shadows. Thermal sensors, pressure plates, automated patrols, all rigged to catch anyone slipping through these tunnels. But there's a back exit, an old freight elevator shaft. It's our best shot. Ava stayed close behind Leon, her small frame brushing the cold tunnel wall as if grounding herself. The faint glow of her serpentine star tattoo seemed to absorb the flashlight's beam, a quiet symbol of protection and strength in this hostile underworld. Leon nodded. "Time is the enemy now. We can't afford hesitation." The trio moved with calculated caution, navigating the narrow corridors while avoiding sensor fields. Ghost pulled a battered pouch from his belt, revealing a handful of makeshift tools, wire cutters, a digital jammer, and a compact flashlight. With deft hands, he disabled a pressure plate hidden beneath grime and cracked wiring on the wall. Leon's breath was steady, muscles tense, every sense alert. Each step was a silent prayer, each corner a potential ambush. Suddenly, sharp footsteps echoed from behind. A squad of Black Sun mercenaries appeared around a bend, faces masked, weapons raised and trained on the trio. "Contact," Leon hissed. Ava dropped behind a rusted support beam as Leon opened fire, controlled bursts that echoed violently through the tunnel. The confined space magnified every shot, forcing the mercenaries into hastily claimed cover positions. Gunfire ricocheted off concrete, sparks flying where bullets struck metal pipes. Amid the chaos, Ghost disappeared briefly, returning with a grim expression and motioning toward a rusted emergency hatch set into the tunnel ceiling. With a creak and groan, the hatch slowly opened, revealing a vertical shaft leading up. "Go, now," Ghost urged urgently. Leon grabbed Ava's arm, pulling her toward the hatch as bullets pinged the walls around them. They climbed rapidly into the freight elevator shaft, the faint flicker of failing shaft lights barely illuminating their ascent. Behind them, the mercenaries regrouped, pounding on the hatch, shouting threats that bounced menacingly through the confined space. Leon spared a quick glance at Ava. Her breath was ragged, but her eyes burned with fierce determination. "We're not safe yet," he said quietly, "but we're alive. That's what counts." The elevator jerked to life, slowly rising with an ominous creak and clatter. When the door slid open, they stepped out onto a forgotten rooftop bathed in the cold light of a breaking dawn. The city sprawled endlessly below, a mix of gleaming towers and dark alleys. They were exposed but free. Leon's gaze swept the horizon as the first pale light of morning crept in. Calculations ran through his mind. Escape routes, potential allies, risks ahead. The hunt was far from over. But for now, they had survived another deadly gambit in the city's shadows. The elevator doors groaned open, revealing a rooftop littered with rusted metal sheets, cracked concrete slabs, and scattered debris. The dawn cast a cold, gray light over the cityscape, a sprawling maze of towering buildings and twisting alleys far below. For a brief moment, the vastness of the urban jungle offered no comfort. only the stark reminder that they were exposed, perched high above with nowhere to hide. Leon inhaled sharply, the chill air biting at his lungs. His eyes darted instantly to the skyline. Distant silhouettes of enemy snipers were already taking aim, while the ominous hum of surveillance drones filled the air, circling and scanning with relentless efficiency. Vex snipers have you zeroed in. Firehole warned sharply over the comms. Drones are overhead and locking your coordinates. You're vulnerable. Move fast. Without hesitation, Leon crouched low beside a rusted ventilation unit, pulling Ava down with him. Her tattooed forearm brushed the cold concrete as she pressed herself against the rooftop's fractured surface, eyes wide but steady. "Listen carefully," Leon whispered, voice tense but controlled. "We have 2 fire escapes on the adjacent building, north side and east side. We sprint to the first, then pivot to the second. Keep your head down and move unpredictable." Ava nodded, steeling herself. They launched into motion, sprinting over jagged rebar and shards of broken tiles. Each footfall was measured but urgent, adrenaline sharpening their reflexes. The sharp crack of sniper fire broke the morning silence. Bullets tore into the rooftop, slicing through metal and concrete mere inches from their bodies. Leon pivoted behind a rooftop air handler, quickly returning suppressive fire. His shots were precise, controlled bursts aimed to force the shooters into cover. The crackle of gunfire was a harsh counterpoint to Ava's rapid breaths as she darted forward toward the north fire escape. "Go, go," Leon barked, keeping his weapon trained on enemy positions. Ava scrambled down the rusty metal stairs, the sound of her boots echoing in the confined space. Leon stayed behind, eyes sweeping constantly for new threats. Suddenly, a sleek black drone buzzed close, its sensors locking onto Leon. With a quick squeeze of the trigger, he downed it midair, watching as it crashed onto the rooftop with a metallic clang. Reaching the adjacent building's rooftop, they found the door barricaded, a desperate last stand by Vex forces. "No time for finesse," Leon muttered, drawing his crowbar and hammering the door until it gave way. Inside, a narrow, dimly lit stairwell spiraled downward. Gunshots echoed from above as mercenaries pressed their relentless chase. Leon and Ava descended quickly but cautiously, each step measured, knowing the enemy was close behind. Their training took over: silent communication, quick movements, constant situational awareness. At the bottom, they burst through an emergency exit onto a bustling city street, awakening to a new day. Pedestrians filled the sidewalks, cars honked, and the urban pulse throbbed around them. Leon exhaled deeply but didn't relax. "Keep moving. We need to find a safer spot, somewhere off the grid." Ava glanced up, her eyes sharp despite exhaustion. "Where to now?" Leon's gaze swept the crowds, the streets, the alleyways. "Anywhere but here. For now, we blend." Together, they melted into the city's flow, 2 hunted souls in a metropolis that would either swallow them whole or become the stage for the next move in a deadly game that had no room for error. Leon and Ava navigated the bustling city streets, becoming shadows amid the early morning rush. The sea of commuters, honking cars, and street vendors' calls created a chaotic backdrop, one that both concealed and threatened their presence. Every passerby might be a watcher, every security camera a potential eye for Vex network. Extraction options are narrowing fast. Firehole's voice crackled through Leon's earpiece, low but urgent. "Official routes, airports, train stations, government checkpoints are compromised or under tight surveillance. Vex network has eyes everywhere. We'll need to use unofficial, off-grid channels." Leon's jaw tightened as he scanned the crowd. "I know a place. An old contact. If he's still in the game, he might give us what we need." He steered Ava through a tangle of back alleys, each step careful, eyes constantly moving to avoid cameras and patrols. Finally, they reached a small, unassuming cafe tucked away in a narrow side street, its faded signs swinging lightly in the breeze. The kind of place that time forgot, known only to those in the underground. The bell above the door jingled softly as they entered. A man sitting at the bar turned, recognition flickering in his eyes. His thin frame was draped in a battered leather jacket, and his gaze was sharp, calm, calculating. "Ghost," Leon greeted quietly. The man nodded, sliding a weathered envelope across the counter. "You're lucky I'm still breathing and not 6 feet under." but I like your odds better than most. Leon took the envelope, slipping it into his jacket pocket. Inside, Ava found what she desperately needed: a forged passport with a new identity, cash enough to disappear, and a burner phone preloaded with secure contacts for safe passage. This gets you out of the city, Ghost explained. A safe house in the neighboring province will hold you until Leon and his team finish what needs to be done. Ava's eyes lifted, reflecting a rare vulnerability. You really think this ends with Vex? That we can break his hold? Leon met her gaze steadily. We don't have a choice but to believe it. We fight smart, keep moving, and never let them corner us. Failure means everything they've done will be for nothing. Ghost gave a grim smile, the weight of years etched into his features. You're playing a dangerous game. Vex's reach is long, and his men are ruthless. You'll have to be faster, smarter, and colder than ever before. Leon's jaw clenched. We've come too far to back down. Ghost's eyes flicked toward the door. Move fast. You're on a timer. Vex wolves are circling closer. The soft hum of the city pulsed outside, the everyday noise of millions oblivious to the deadly chess match unfolding in their midst. Leon and Ava shared a moment of silent resolve, knowing that every second counted. With new identities and a faint glimmer of hope, they prepared for the next move, a final push into the darkness, where survival demanded every ounce of cunning and courage they could muster. The game was far from over. Leon and Ava moved like shadows through the tangled maze of the city, each step a silent calculation, each breath measured and cautious. The forged passports and burner phones in their possession weren't mere tools. They were lifelines, fragile threads weaving them back into a world where Vex's grip loosened, where survival might still be possible. Their destination was a secluded farmhouse nestled just beyond the city limits, surrounded by thick woods and winding dirt roads, remote enough to evade any casual detection, yet close enough for swift action. This was Ghost's final sanctuary, a hidden node in his vast underground network, where the hunted could momentarily become the hunters. Ghost's contacts ensured their arrival was unseen. No checkpoints, no electronic trails, just a quiet doorstep in the early morning fog. Inside the modest farmhouse, Ava finally allowed herself a moment to exhale, the crushing weight of constant vigilance lifting, if only for a heartbeat. She sank into an old leather chair, the creak of its worn frame a small comfort against the tension that never fully left her muscles. Leon, however, remained on edge, eyes scanning encrypted feeds, fingers flying over a rugged tablet as he mapped Black Sun's movements and pieced together the sprawling network of terror they'd been fighting to dismantle. Every intercepted communication, every abandoned safe house, every captured informant painted a clearer picture of Vex's operation. But the enemy was cunning and ruthless. Vex isn't finished, Leon murmured, voice low and urgent. He'll come after Ava again, and harder this time. We've only bought time, stalled his plans, but not ended them. Ava met his gaze steadily. Then we finish it. Together. In the days that followed, their sanctuary became a war room. They pored over intelligence reports, coordinated with Ghost's network, and strategized the dismantling of Vex's empire. Targeting arms caches, infiltrating safe houses, turning his men against each other through psychological tactics and precision strikes. Their bond, forged through fire and shadow, was now their greatest weapon, a blend of trust, tactical brilliance, and cold resolve honed in the crucible of survival. Operations were surgical, silent raids under the cover of darkness, ambushes that left enemies incapacitated before they could react, misinformation campaigns that spread chaos through Black Sun's ranks. With every strike, Vex's empire fractured. His lieutenants fled or were captured, his supply lines severed. The network that once seemed invincible began to unravel. When the final assault was complete, Leon watched Ava prepare to leave. The weight of the past years etched on her face, but her spirit unbroken. Her tattoo, the serpent coiled around the seven-pointed star, was now hidden beneath layers of new identity, a silent reminder of the battles fought and won. Leon remained behind, fading once again into the shadows. The city, its secrets, and its dangers called to him still. He was a ghost, a silent guardian lurking beyond the light, ready to face the next threat waiting in darkness. Because in their world, survival was never the end. it was only the beginning of the next fight. Thank you for following this story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share your thoughts below. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for more immersive tactical stories.